Hello friends, today we are going to discuss about digital transmission of analog signals from the subject digital communication for TENTC semester 1. So the CO, that is outcomes, course outcome of this unit is analyze and compare digital pulse modulation techniques in terms of bitrate, transmission bandwidth and hardware complexity. The contents of the today's discussion are introduction to digital communication system, the sampling process, the types of sampling and the aperture effect. So why digital communication? A digital communication system is a communication system where the information signal sent from A to B can be fully described as a digital signal. The examples of digital communication systems are we use every day include mobile phones, television, radio and of course the internet. The CDs, that is compact discs and MP3s, are replacing records and tapes and the digital cameras also with the help of digital communication. The important applications of digital communication systems are it is basically used in military applications. It is used also in image processing for pattern recognition. It is also used in digital signal processing. It is used in telephony for text messaging. It is also used in space communication where a spacecraft transmits signals to the Earth in video compression, speech processing, and digital audio transmission. And for the data compression, also the digital communication systems are used. So the advantages of digital communication system basically, if you compare the digital transmission over the analog one, you will be finding these many advantages of digital transmission. So the main advantage of digital transmission is noise immunity, error detection and correction, ease of multiplexing, integration of analog and digital data, use of signal generators, regenerators, data integrity and security, ease of evaluation and measurements, and last, that is more suitable for processing. But with all these advantages of digital transmission, it has some disadvantages also, and these are as follows. First, it requires more bandwidth. Then second, it need precise time synchronization, and the last, that is additional hardware for encoding and decoding is required. So these are the mainly disadvantages of digital transmissions. Here, this is the block diagram of digital communication system. We can find out number of blocks over here in the transmitter as well as in the receiver also. Information source is a first block, second is a to D converter, then third is a source encoder, channel encoder, then modulator, and then the output of this transmitter is given to the channel, and then it is applied to the receiver section. Into that you will be having demodulator, channel decoder, source decoder, D to A converter and information sink over here. So the first thing, that is information source. Information source, that means source information can be anything. It can be audio, video, it can be any signal over here. That is applied to your second block, that is A to D converter over here. A to D converter, it converts your signal, analog signal into digital one, and then it is applied to the source encoder over here. In source encoding, the encoder converts the digital signal generated at the source output into another signal in digital form only. Then the source encoding is used to reduce or eliminate redundancy for ensuring an inefficient representation of the source output. So that output is applied to the channel encoder. Channel encoding is done to minimize the effect of channel noise over here. So we also always know that noise immunity of any system should be good. So to reduce the effect of noise, it is used, and this will reduce the number of errors in the received data and will make the system more reliable also. Then it is given to the modulator. So any type of modulation, for example over here, that is any continuous wave digital modulation techniques such as ASK, FSK, PSK, that is amplitude shift keying, frequency shift keying, PSK, that is phase shift keying, can be used over here, and then it is applied to the channel. So next, output of your channel, it is given to the demodulator over here. So demodulator, it demodulates our signal, then it is applied to the channel decoder over here. So the channel decoder here, it is at the receiver and it maps the channel output into digital signal in such a way that effect of the channel noise is reduced to a minimum. Thus, the channel encoder and decoder together provides a reliable communication over a noisy channel. Then output of this channel decoder, it is given to the source decoder. Source decoder, it is at the receiver side and it behaves exactly in a inverse way to the source encoder. It delivers the destination or user the original digital source output. Then that is given to digital to analog converter and your information sync. That means it can be in the output section, like for example loudspeaker also. So this is all about your digital communication system, and this is the explanation about each and every block which is used in the digital communication system. Now the basically how to convert our signal, that is analog signal, into digital one. So that can be done by using three basic steps. So first is a sampling, then quantizing, and then coding. So at the end of this you will be getting the digital signal. So we can see a difference between analog signal and a sampled signal or sampled analog signal over here. So now first thing or first step in conversion, that is A to D conversion, is we have seen the sampling process. So we are going to discuss this first. The sampling theorem in time domain, a continuous time signal x of t can be converted into sample form and recovered back from its sample form if fs, that is sampling frequency, it is greater than or equal to 2w, whereas w is a maximum modulating frequency. So sometimes in some books w, that is maximum modulating frequency, it is represented by the notation that is fm itself. Then Nyquist criteria. Nyquist criteria, in this Nyquist rate is Fs is equal to 2W. And Nyquist interval, we can easily find out Ts is equal to 1 by Fs is equal to 1 by 2W seconds for you. So sampling, in sampling process, this is one block you can consider as a sampler, whereas your input to the sampler is a continuous time analog signal and output is a discrete time analog signal. Here we can see for the sampler you will be having two inputs, analog signal and train of pulses. So here del of t, and you will be getting a sample signal at the output. So here we can see one example over here, the signal s of t, that is cos 5 pi t plus zero point 0.5 cos 10 pi t is instantaneously sampled. Now we can find out the Nyquist rate and Nyquist interval easily. To find out the Nyquist rate and Nyquist interval, we have to know the frequencies, like modulating frequencies. Okay, but here the two signals are there, cos 5 pi t and zero point 0.5 cos 10 pi t. So we can separately find out W1 and W2. So you can find out one of the signal, it gives you the first signal, that is 2.5 Hertz, and the another signal it gives you 5 Hertz frequency. So whichever is the greater, that is in sampling theorem we have seen that is W is the maximum modulating frequency over here. So here we have seen that is it should be maximum one. So here the need is that we need to consider that 5 Hertz over here. So Fs is greater than or equal to 2W or 2 FM. So that is what your Nyquist rate. So you can find out 2 into Fm. Fm, what we have to consider now, F2, that is 5 Hertz. So your answer will be 10 Hertz over here. Similarly, to find out the Nyquist rate, Ts is equal to 1 by Fs. So we can easily find out 1 by 10 is equal to 0.1 seconds over here. Now for the sampling process, this is our input signal x of t, another train of pulses, another signal we are having. Then if you multiply these two signals, you will be getting a sample signal, that is x del of t over here. So S of t, how it is represented? Here we are having train of unit or pulses or train of impulses. So at every instant of time, that is at 0, ts, 2 ts, 3 ts, 4 ts up to infinity, and at the another side also you will be having a impulses. So mathematically we can represent this S of t, that is del of t minus nts. So here we can write S of t is equal to summation of n is equal to minus infinity to infinity del of t minus nts. So this is a impulse signal or train of pulses over here. sampling point t, that is equal to nts. So we can write that sampling points is x of nts over here, and this is a sample signal x del of t is equal to x of t into s of t. So we can rewrite this x of nts into s of t. So mathematically we can represent, or we can write the sample signal x del of t is equal to summation of n is equal to minus infinity to infinity x of nts into the sample function del of t minus nts. So this is the equation for the sample signal over here. S of f, that is, we can find out a Fourier transform of S of t, that is fs is equal to summation of n is equal to minus infinity to infinity del of f minus nfs. Similarly, we know the sample signal in the time domain is represented as a product of x of t and s of t, whereas if it is in Fourier transform or in frequency domain, we can rewrite this x del of f is equal to x of f convolved with s of f. So finally you will be getting this equation x del of f is equal to x of f. We can replace the x of s of f over here. So we will be getting this equation fs summation of n minus infinity to infinity del of f minus nfs. So this is the equation. Now we can modify this also, that is x of f convolved with del of f minus nfs. So the Fourier transform of sample signal is x del of f is equal to fs summation of minus infinity to infinity x of f minus nfs. And this is a Fourier transform of original signal x of f. So with the help of the last unit, we can again find out the frequency spectrum of your modulated signal also. So in the middle we can find out, whereas your n is equal to 0, at this stage we can find out the term which we will be getting at the output, that is fs is equal fs x of f. So this is basically a frequency spectrum of original signal, that is x of t, and the time shifted signals or spectrums we are having, that is x of f shifted right by fs and similarly left by fs, and up to infinity you will be getting the spectrum x of f shifted at fs twice fs up to infinity. So with the help of this equation we can draw the frequency spectrum of our sample signal also. So into this what we are having, this is a frequency spectrum, that is x of f we are having, which is centered at 0, then centered at fs, centered at twice fs, similarly at the negative side. So this is the spectrum of sample signal only. If fs is less than 2w or fs is less than 2 fm, in this case what will be happening, you will be getting a overlapping between your two spectrums, that is also known as the aliasing effect over here. The aliasing effect you can find out, again we can rewrite this, or we can uh, know this aliasing effect as high frequencies in x of t take on the identity of lower frequencies due to aliasing over here. So this is what a overlapping, which is known as a aliasing. Now how to reduce this aliasing, that is the one way what we are having by using a band limiting filter over here, or another way, that is by keeping fs more greater than 2 fm. So what will be happening if your signal, input signal x of t is not band limited, so your signal should be passed through a band limiting low pass filter, and strictly band limited signal you will be getting at the output of band limiting low pass filter, and that is applied to your sampler block. So our signal will be, you will be getting, that is x del of t without aliasing or without overlapping over here. Again the second way, that is fs more greater than 2 fm. In this case what we will be getting, that is instead of starting your second spectrum x of f, which is centered at fs from this point, it will be started from this. So one gap you are getting, which is also known as a band gap, as no overlapping of spectrum is there. So if fs is more greater than twice fm, it's good for reconstruction, it is very good, and you will be observing a band gap over here. Now in case of fs is equal to 2 fm, we can easily find out the one spectrum which is centered at x0. Another will be starting once your first spectrum ends, from the same point the another spectrum will be starting, which is centered at fs, and similarly for twice fs and up to infinity. So this is the case when fs, that is sampling frequency, is exactly equal to twice of your modulating frequency over here. So if fs is less than 2w, we have seen that aliasing will be occurring over here. Now how to reconstruct this signal. For this reconstruction, you have to use a reconstruction filter, that is ideal low pass filter. So it's very simple to get original signal back from the sampled signal, that is x del of f, that is frequency spectrum of sample signal we are having here, that is number of x, frequency spectrum of x of t, that is x of f we are having centered at 0 plus minus f is similarly at the other side. So if you pass this signal through a ideal low pass filter, at that time what will be happening, this first spectrum which is centered at 0, that will be passed and remaining spectrums will get neglected or it will get rejected by using a low pass filter. Okay, so we are getting a spectrum which is required one, that is spectrum of R x of t, that is x of f we are getting, that is spectrum of filtered output over here. So this is the reconstruction of an analog signal from the sampled signal by using a reconstruction filter, or you can say that it's a ideal low pass filter also. So here for the we can find out the Nyquist rate, Nyquist interval for the following signals. M of t is equal to 1 by 2 pi cos of 4000 pi t into cos of 100,000 pi t. So if you have to solve here, there is no addition. So we have to use the formula cos A into cos B. At the end you will be getting this equation for m1 of t, that is 1 by 4 pi cos 2 pi f1 t, and this. So you can compare with this solved one. So f1 is equal to 3000 pi, then f2 is equal to 5000 pi. So you can find out what is your f1, that is 1500, f2 is 2500. So we have to consider a maximum modulating frequency 2500. So Nyquist rate is equal to 2w. So 2 into 2500 is equal to 5000 hertz, that is our Nyquist rate. Similarly 1 by 5000 is, that is 0.2 millisecond, that is our Nyquist interval also. Similarly for the another example, that is m of t is equal to sine 500 pi t divided by pi t. You can again find out, you can compare with sine 2 pi ft divided by pi t. So you can find out our f again by putting into the formula, you will be getting your answer, that is 500 hertz and 2 millisecond. Types of sampling, basically types of sampling here, ideal sampling, then practical sampling. There are, in practical sampling there are again two, that is natural and flat top here. So ideal sampling basically an impulse at each sampling instant is used over here, and in practical sampling the pulse width is finite over here. So in natural sampling basically a pulse of short width with varying amplitude is used, whereas in flat top sampling it uses a sample and hold circuit like natural but with single amplitude value. So we can see the difference in the types of sampling over here. The first figure shows ideal sampling over here. The second shows that is natural sampling, and third is a flat top sampling over here. So into this we can find out ideal sampling, whereas your train of impulses, the width of that pulses is nearly equal to 0. So which is not practically possible. So it is considered as ideal. Here a pulse width is finite. The amplitudes of sample signal are natural, which follows the amplitude of input signal. So it is considered as a natural, and the flat top samples, as the amplitude of your sample signal is flat. The ideal sampling, we can find out it's a simple switching circuit. X of t is applied over here, a pulse generator is applied over here. At the output of this is a sampling switch. So switch will be either closed or open. So with the reference to that, you can find out a ideally sampled signal over here. In naturally sampled signal, again any switch can be used. For example, here chopper switch is used, or MOSFET which is acting as a switch, that can be also used over here. So X of t which is applied to this circuit. So if C of t, that is train of pulses, it is applied to your chopper switch. So depending on this switch will be either on and off, and we will be getting our output, that is naturally sampled signal over here. So if switch is open, that means initially our output is 0. When this switch will be closed, in this case we can find out the x of t over here, and unless and until the switch is closed, we will be getting x of t at the output over here. Once this switch is again open for this much time period, again our output will be like 0, and the same drama will be repeated. So the two circuits are shown, that is chopper sampling and sampling with a MOSFET acting as a switch also. This is what a natural sampling. Now for flat top sampling, we can find out two switches are used. One is a sampling switch, another is a discharge switch over here. So, and capacitor is used. So X of t, that is our analog signal, is applied to a sampling switch over here. So initially what will be happening, G1, that is gate pulse to the sampling switch, will be applied. So this switch will be on, and the same X of t which is will be applied to your capacitor over here. And at that time G2 is off, that means gate pulse is not applied to a discharge switch over here. So this switch is only on and capacitor will get charged up to this peak value. So initially capacitor will be charged to this X of t over here. Once it is charged to a peak value or highest amplitude of X of t, this G1 will be removed. Okay. Already G2 is not applied and G1 is removed, that means both the switches are off. So the capacitor will hold this value, whichever amplitude, signal amplitude, sample amplitude we are having, that will be held by using capacitor. So the name is given that a sample and then hold. So sampling is done at this point and it will hold the value by using the capacitor. After some time period, what will be happening, G2 pulse will be given to a discharge switch. This switch will be on and the capacitor will get discharged over here. So the output will be now 0. And for some time, both the switches will be off. Again, G1 pulse will be given, that is sampling switch will be on, capacitor will be charged to the peak value, and then both the switches are off. So capacitor will hold this value. G2 will be applied to a discharge switch. So discharging of capacitor with the help of discharge switch will be done, and then capacitor will be discharged at this point. So same drama will be repeated. So we are getting tops of the pulses, that is flat. So the circuit is known as a sample and hold circuit, and these are the waveforms for this flat top sampling over here. Then flat top sampling waveforms, as we have seen over here, the aperture effect, that is the main effect over here. So we can find out the spectrum of our signal x of f over here, then x del of f, that is a sample signal, spectrum of sample signal, h of f, that is spectrum of sampling signal, h of t over here. So here once it is passed through h of f, we are getting a spectrum of flat top sample signal. Here we are getting that is error due to aperture effect. So this output we will not be getting. So this is the main reason, that is it depends on the pulse width. So reduction in aperture effect due to the reduction in the pulse width. So the thing is that if we want to reduce the aperture effect, this error, if you want to reduce that, the reduction in the aperture effect is achieved by using reduction in the pulse width. But if you try to reduce the pulse width, that is tau of the train of pulses, what will be happening, reconstruction will be poor over here. Okay, so it is compromise between your aperture effect and reconstructed output. Now the last example, by using depending on the sampling theorem and Nyquist rate and Nyquist interval, here x of t is given 5 cos of 2000 t plus 7 sin 7000 t. Now we have seen how to find out the frequencies for these types of signals. So f1 is 2000 t 2000 divided by 2 pi. So we'll be getting this value 318, and f2 is f1114, that is 1114 hertz. So obviously we will be selecting this. Nyquist rate formula is to f2 now, because f2 is higher value. It's not like that the second value is higher. You need to find out. So 2f2 or 2fm or 2w, same formula. So we'll be getting Nyquist rate 2228, that is 2228. Similarly, Nyquist interval 1 by Nyquist rate, that is 4.487 into 10 raised to minus 4 seconds over here. Thank you.